I'm going through all 30 NBA teams and I'm going to give you one reason why I love them and one reason why I hate them. I mostly do NFL content and this is my first NBA video, so if you want to see more NBA content, hit that like button. The Atlanta Hawks. I hate the fact that you traded pretty much Luka Doncic for Trae Young. You traded up in the draft to get Trae Young instead of Luka with the Dallas Mavericks. And Trae Young is a fine player, but he's nowhere near the same galaxy as Luka, and I honestly just feel bad for your franchise of what could have been. But I do love the 2014 Hawks season. It is a season I will never forget. They won 60 games without a real traditional superstar. They had Paul Millsap, Al Horford, Jeff Teague, Kyle Korver, and DeMar Carroll in their starting lineup. And 4 of those guys, everyone except for DeMar Carroll, ended up making the All-Star team that year in 2014. This team was so good, they had Kyle Korver dunking. The Boston Celtics. I hate the fact that, I really do pretty much blame you guys for the whole player movement era with LeBron James leaving to the Heat. Everyone blames LeBron for that move and says that he started this whole era, but the only reason he did that was because you created a big 3 via trades and he couldn't beat you guys. You had Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, and Kevin Garnett. That was the first real big 3 in the modern era, and the reason LeBron left to Miami was simply to beat you guys. I love the history of your franchise, and it's easy to root for a team or at least appreciate a team with this much tradition. The Celtics are one of the most recognizable franchises in sports history. I also love their logo. I love that they haven't modernized it like a lot of NBA teams have. They've just kept it cool and classic. And I also love the city of Boston in general, so that just makes me like the team even more. Brooklyn Nets. I hate the fact that you guys don't really have a true identity yet, and I do not like the gray court in the Barclays Center. I don't know why, it just looks wrong to me. But I do like your jerseys. I think the black and white combo is really cool, and I think your potential for merch and uniforms are really high. I just don't have a lot to say about your actual basketball team. The Charlotte Hornets. This is actually one of my biggest pet peeves and a little bit of a soapbox moment for me right now. And I don't understand why nobody ever talks about it. Y'all are not the Charlotte Hornets. You're just not. The Charlotte Hornets joined the NBA in 1988. They had players like Muggsy Bogues and Del Curry play for their team. This team ended up moving to New Orleans and became the New Orleans Hornets, where Chris Paul played for them, Anthony Davis played for them. And since then, they have changed their name to the New Orleans Pelicans. The current Charlotte Hornets were originally the Charlotte Bobcats, and they joined the league in like 2004. But then once the New Orleans Hornets changed their name to the New Orleans Pelicans, the Charlotte Bobcats changed their name to the Charlotte Hornets. But then you guys just stole everything about their identity. And I get that it's in the same city and that the fans probably wanted that, which I understand, but you have players wearing like throwback uniforms from the old Charlotte Hornets team. That's not you guys. Like, you guys have like Del Curry, announcing games sometimes, or at least you have in the past, and that's all great. But just to be clear, he did not play for your franchise. That's like a woman divorcing a man named Johnny Appleseed and marrying a new man named Kevin, and Kevin just changes his name to Johnny Appleseed. That doesn't make him the same man. This guy doesn't have all the same memories as the old guy does with his wife. It's a new person. Just because he has the same name doesn't mean it's the same history. That's a terrible example. Anyways, I don't know why they do this. It makes literally no sense to me. I just don't like it. I literally just don't like it. Carve a new path. Do something on your own. And sorry, that was probably the longest rant I will have in the hate section for any team, so I apologize. It's really not personal for the fans, I don't think, but something I love about your team, I love Kemba Walker. I thought Kemba was one of the most underrated players in the league for a really long time, and I always enjoyed watching him play. He had one of the tightest, nastiest crossovers in the league, and a nice pure jumper as well. The Chicago Bulls. Listen, I'm a Jazz fan, so yeah, that's not great. But honestly, there's not a lot outside of that I don't love about your organization. You have, in my opinion, the coolest logo in basketball, potentially the coolest logo in all of sports. And you have arguably the greatest player in the history of basketball, Michael Jordan, and not just that, but one of the most important sports figures in the world ever. And also, your intro music for the starting lineups is incredible. I just think you have a cool franchise, and I like almost everything about it. The Cleveland Cavaliers. Listen, I kind of hate the fact that you were doing well with Donovan Mitchell just because he left the Jazz, and it makes me a little bit sick. But in the same sentence, I am kind of rooting for you guys. And what I love is I still think one of the coolest stories in basketball is LeBron James getting drafted by his hometown team in 2003. Not only is that just a great story in general, but the fact that he turned out to be one of the greatest players in the history of basketball is just so cool. They're also one of the few teams that I actually think your jerseys, your modern jerseys, are pretty sweet, especially the black ones. The Dallas Mavericks. Listen, it's hard not to bring this up. One of the most egregious moves in sports in the last multiple decades since I've been alive. But I love that 2011 championship run. One of the most memorable watching experiences I've had growing up watching the finals. Dirk, Jason Kidd, Sean Marion, Tyson Chandler, JJ Barea, Jason Terry. It was an incredible final series in general, but the fact that it was the first year LeBron was on the Heat made it even better. Stakes just felt so high. The Denver Nuggets. I honestly hate your uniforms. I think they've gone downhill bad. The Carmelo Anthony Nuggets era was prime time. I don't care what you say to me. It should just be the baby blue and the yellow. Those should be the colors for the Nuggets. I just don't like the red that you're incorporating into it. I think the red, blue, and yellow together looks weird. The classic blue and yellow, even the dark blue and yellow, it looks so much better. But I love Nikola Jokic. I think he is one of the coolest stories in NBA history. He is one of the most selfless players of all time and also one of the best players of all time. And I don't think that is that common. He plays basketball in such a pure way, and I really enjoy watching him. And I'm super happy that he was able to get a smaller market like Denver a championship. The Detroit Pistons. I hate your logo. It truly sucks. And your team has been irrelevant for a really long time. Cade Cunningham is trying his hardest, but this logo is bad. But when I was a kid, I was rooting so hard for the Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince, Rasheed Wallace, Ben Wallace Pistons team. I used to try Rip Hamilton's free throw routine. I used to do scoop layups like Tayshaun Prince. I used to try to shoot like Chauncey Billups. That's one of the coolest teams in NBA history, at least to me, and it's so nostalgic for me to watch them, and it is literally molded into my brain from my childhood. Golden State Warriors. I honestly just hate the fact that you blew the 73-9 season. That could have been such a historic moment, and as somebody that has passively rooted for the Warriors just because I love Steph Curry so much, it just sucks that that season is pretty much forgotten unless you talk about LeBron's legacy. And I like LeBron, but it just sucks. The 73-9 just doesn't mean anything anymore. But I love, like I mentioned, Steph. Steph is probably my second favorite player of all time. I just love everything about how he plays the game. And I know that's not an uncommon take. He's one of the most popular players in history. He's incredible off the ball. He's obviously the greatest shooter of all the time. He's a great teammate. Love watching him shoot a basketball. There's just something so beautiful about it. I just love him. And like I said, he's probably my second favorite player of all time. My favorite player of all time we'll be talking about very soon. The Houston Rockets. I hate the fact that you took James Harden away from the Thunder. You broke apart a trio that I loved watching as a kid and that I thought had real, I mean, everyone thought had real potential. And I still am bummed, but I love your pinstripe throwback uniforms. They're one of the coolest uniforms ever. And I also remember so vividly watching Tracy McGrady and Yao Ming. I'm a Jazz fan, like I said. So the amount of times we played the Rockets in the playoffs, it felt like it was every single year, dude. And I honestly have very good memories of those series, whichever way they went. The Indiana Pacers. There's nothing I really actually hate about your team other than the fact that you just seem like you're kind of always in the mix, but not really like relevant as a championship contender. You've had real stars like Paul George, Victor Oladipo, and now Halliburton, but you just haven't been able to get to that next level yet. But I actually love your logo, and I think it's very underrated, and I think your stadium with all of the yellow chairs is also really cool. I do think your jerseys right now are far worse than they used to be, but those throwbacks are so sick, and hopefully eventually they can go back to them, kind of like the Jazz are doing. The Los Angeles Clippers. I just haven't liked a Clippers team in a really long time. I hated Lob City, mostly because, again, of the Jazz. We were playing them in the playoffs, and they just had something that rubbed me the wrong way with Blake Griffin and Chris Paul at the time. I used to love Chris Paul, and then when he was on the Clippers, he just started kind of rubbing me the wrong way. I don't really like Kawhi Leonard anymore or James Harden, even though I used to love both of them. I just don't think they care about basketball as much. And granted, if I was getting paid $50+ million a year, I don't know if I would be that motivated either. I can't really blame them, but it just bums me out to see. And maybe I just don't watch enough Clippers games, honestly, but it feels like Kawhi is always out and James Harden has been out of shape for years now. But I love your new arena and I love Steve Ballmer. I love that you have an active owner. It seems like Steve genuinely cares about your team and genuinely cares about winning. And that stadium looks so sick. The Los Angeles Lakers. It is a little bit annoying that you guys just seem to continue to get bailed out with these superstars. Kobe's on his last legs and the team's not good for a few years. And then in comes LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And now they're both aging. AD can't really stay healthy. LeBron's 40. And somehow, by the grace of God, you guys get Luka Doncic and you're safe for like the next 10 years, maybe more, as long as he continues to re-sign with you. But what I love, on top of just the Lakers being, again, like the Celtics, one of the most important franchises in the sport and an endless list of Hall of Fame players that have played for you guys, Kobe Bryant is my favorite player of all time. I have always loved watching him. Growing up, he was always my favorite player. I have jerseys framed. I have tickets framed going to his games. I have multiple books about him. I've seen every video you can see of him. I loved Kobe growing up. And I actually did go to his last game ever played in Salt Lake City. Those are the tickets that I have framed. And dude, his last game in LA, ironically against the Jazz, his last game ever, where he dropped 60 and he took like 50 shots. It was just the most Kobe game ever. And I mean, I could honestly like this is so extra. I could tear up thinking about it. Like it was one of the best experiences of my life. I was like 19 years old at that point, and it was like this perfect cap to, you know, I was an adult. I was growing into an adult at that point, and my whole life, my whole childhood had been watching him. And as soon as I'm, you know, getting into college and everything, he's ending his career, and he obviously was not having a great season. He'd been, you know, pretty rough for a couple years. To go out like that and drop 60, I felt like I was levitating watching him. I really did. It was incredible. And obviously it's truly devastating that he is not with us anymore. But yeah, I mean, love Kobe. The Memphis Grizzlies. It just sucks that you guys are always competitive, but never really in the championship mix. You guys have had a lot of good teams. You just can't quite get there, but there's nothing I really hate about your organization. I do like the culture and the identity that the Grizzlies have had for a long time. They've had that grit and grind going back to Zebo, Mike Conley, Marcus Sol, Tony Allen. Those teams were super fun to watch, and they were always in the mix. I'll always remember those battles between those teams and the Oklahoma City Thunder. I also think they have a very loyal and passionate fan base. Miami Heat. I honestly just don't think I can stomach hearing about Heat culture one more time. Also, it seems like your stadium is half empty at every game. I do love, you know, actually what I love is probably something that most people hate about your team. I love the LeBron era. It gave everybody something to root against. And when LeBron announced that he was joining the Heat, that was one of the most like shocking moments of my childhood. I remember gathering with all my friends around the TV, waiting for that announcement, waiting for the decision. And at the time, I was honestly excited for it. Again, it made the NBA so interesting for the next, like, especially 3 or 4 years. And Dwayne Wade is also one of my favorite players of all time, so that's obviously easy. The Milwaukee Bucks. I don't think you guys have really ever had a good jersey since you got rid of this purple one. I don't really love your team colors currently, and I don't like your uniforms really at all, and they should really go back to these cool ones. But I love that a smaller market team like Milwaukee has broken through and actually won a championship and has a generational player that they were able to draft, obviously in Giannis. It gives me as a Jazz fan some hope. The Minnesota Timberwolves. I really think that you could probably say this about every single team in the NBA, and I probably talk about it way too much, but your throwback uniforms and your throwback logo is miles better than what you currently have. And the only reason why I'm bringing it up specifically with you is because the throwback one is so cool that you're just missing out on so much. This logo is so sick. I love Anthony Edwards. I think he truly has more aura than anybody else in sports right now. He talks and walks like he's Michael Jordan. He just seems like a good hang. And I still think even though your logo and uniform could be better, you have one of the coolest color schemes in the league, and the Timberwolf is just a dope mascot. New Orleans Pelicans. I hate, honestly, the Pelicans mascot. It's just a tough one to defend. Why the Pelicans? Maybe I'm missing something. But like I mentioned, I used to absolutely love Chris Paul until he went to the Clippers. He was always one of my favorite players. He felt like he was such an underdog at all times playing for this Hornets team. And I also really like watching Zion on this current Pelicans team. I just hope he can continue to stay healthy. The New York Knicks. I hate James Dolan. I think he's one of the worst owners in all of sports. And honestly, it just hits too close to home to me because I am a Dallas Cowboys fan. I love, obviously, this is obvious, Madison Square Garden. It's the most iconic arena in the NBA. And I really hope that one day I can visit it. There have been so many great performances from opposing players and Knicks players on this court. I just think the NBA is better when the Knicks are good. The Oklahoma City Thunder. I hate the what if of if James Harden could have just stayed with Russ and KD and Serge Ibaka. I really didn't understand it at the time. I don't understand it now. I don't think anybody did or still does understand why they traded James Harden. I mean, I get why, to avoid paying the luxury tax. Listen, you had James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and Kevin Durant. You pay the luxury tax. It's just a bummer because I would have loved to see what that team could have accomplished if they stayed together longer. They achieved so much at such young ages together. It's also a bummer you guys left Seattle, but OKC fans, I think they deserve it too. And what I love, I'll be honest, I love a lot about the Thunder. I really fell in love with this team in 2009 when they were the 8th seed playing against the Lakers. I love that they've drafted so well for the past 2 decades. They drafted Durant, Harden, Russ, SGA, Serge Ibaka, Chet. They've done really well at producing at a really high level with just homegrown talent. I also think their colors and their jerseys are really cool. The Orlando Magic. I hate that you let Shaq walk to the Lakers. The future looked bright with Shaq and Penny, and the fact that they couldn't put a deal together to keep him from going to LA is tough. And then Penny couldn't stay healthy after that, so that it just really never amounted to anything. But I love the Magic name. I love the colors and the uniforms. I love that you guys still have pinstripes on your uniforms. It's one of the few NBA jerseys I think are actually still pretty good. I don't love the font, but I do like the overall jersey and the colors, like I mentioned. The Philadelphia 76ers. You know, the process is still to be determined. I think it looks like it might actually amount to nothing. And you know, they've had a lot of busts. Ben Simmons, Wiggins, Markelle Fultz, Jahlil Okafor, Michael Carter-Williams, Nerlens Noel. There's just been a lot of disappointing draft picks in the city of Philadelphia. But what I love, AI is one of my favorite players of all time. The 76ers throwback jerseys, the black jerseys, man. And I think this is just a super important franchise in the city of Philadelphia. Their fans are extremely passionate, and it's just more fun when they are in the mix and competitive. And also, unrelated to anything real or important, my very first My Player ever in NBA 2K10. This is when I started playing my career on 2K. He played for the 76ers, and me and Thaddeus Young did some damage on that team. That pick and roll with Thad, it was clean. The Phoenix Suns. I hate their team right now. I cannot believe that they have D-Book, KD, and Bradley Beal, and they're not good at basketball. It doesn't make sense to me. And I'm just sad that they pretty much sold off their short-term future to get KD and Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal has a no trade clause, which is insane, and KD's leaving after this summer, but they don't have their own draft picks. So they're just in a really bad spot, and it's really tough to see. But I love the Steve Nash, Amari Stoudemire era. That team is so nostalgic for me watching them. And I think that the Suns have one of the coolest brands in basketball. I think that the team name is really cool. I think the logo is cool, and I really like the orange and black. Just don't double team D-Book in pickup games. The Portland Trailblazers. I hate that you could never put the pieces around Dame Lillard to get him a championship. He was so loyal for potentially too long, and it just sucks that you guys were never able to really put it together. But what I love about your team is Damian Lillard. I love that he did stick with your organization for so long, even without a lot of playoff success. I think they have a really loyal fan base, and they've had a lot of really good players play for that team. The Sacramento Kings. I don't really hate anything about the Kings, which honestly might be an insult of itself because I just don't really think about your organization very often. What I love about your organization is very niche, but Jason Williams. He has some of the coldest highlights you will ever see on YouTube. And also, for some reason, I vividly remember Tyreke Evans' rookie season. He averaged like 25, 5, and 5. It was one of the few times a rookie had done that. And I really liked it. I also do like your branding as well. We're getting into some teams that I actually do like. I think the purple is a cool color. The silver is a cool color. Your uniforms are fine. The San Antonio Spurs. This 3 by Tim Duncan hurt my soul. I still remember watching this in my dad's truck. I was rooting for that Suns team really hard that year. I don't remember why. But I love the consistent history of Coach Popovich and this organization as a whole. Tony Parker, Manu, Tim Duncan, they were just so good for so long. And they played basketball in such a team-oriented way. It was just really fun to watch. The Toronto Raptors. This is probably going to be a hot take, and this is nothing really, this isn't like a direct shot at Raptors fans, so I don't want you to take offense to this. I'm just warning you in advance. But that title that you won with Kawhi Leonard is honestly just, my head, like pointless. Kawhi was in Toronto for like 7 months, and you guys knew you were renting him. You traded for him knowing he was going to leave. You gave away assets just to have him for that short period of time, and you somehow win a title. You know, Klay Thompson and Durant were hurt, and then Kawhi just leaves. Like, it's just a weird period of history that doesn't reflect anything that matters. Like, Kawhi, it's not like you guys built up this team and you finally got a missing piece. Like, you built up a team and traded your best player to get a different best player, and then you won a championship and he left immediately. And you probably wouldn't have won if KD and Klay were healthy that entire series. So it's just that year, it just sticks out like a sore thumb to me. I am happy for you guys as fans. I'm happy you guys got it. No matter how the Jazz won a championship, which we never have, if we did, I would be thrilled. I'm just saying, it's just weird. What I love, you potentially have the best throwback logo and uniform of all time. These logos and uniforms are so sick. Utah Jazz. What I hate about the Jazz, honestly, the last decade or so of uniforms and jerseys and logo changes and color changes, it's been a mess. And I will mention how much I like Ryan Smith very soon, but the very first mistake he made was these yellow uniforms are genuinely egregious, hideous. And the fact that we branded our entire team around that for a few years is insane to me. It's insane. We've had ugly green jerseys, ugly yellow jerseys. We've had a weird blue jersey. The fact that next year we're just getting back to the purple, that's where we need to be. And what I love, obviously, this is my favorite team in the league. And I'm really happy with Ryan Smith and the new ownership. It's weird to like the owner of your sports team because as a Cowboys fan, I haven't ever done that. And I've just enjoyed, similar to the Spurs, obviously not to the same level as the Spurs, but they've been a very consistent and constant team in the NBA for a really long time. They've always been competitive almost every single year of my life. Obviously, except for the past few, we are tanking. But we've always had solid players, and we're always, in that 50 win plus area. We're always in the playoffs. We never get over the hump, which sucks, but at least we're mostly relevant. Cooper Flag, please come save us. The Washington Wizards. Listen, y'all got to get it together, man. You guys have given out some of the worst contracts ever. That John Wall contract, dude. Oh my gosh. You couldn't get anywhere with him and Beal together, and now you have neither, and you're at the bottom of the league, and it's pretty bleak right now. Dude, what I loved watching Agent Zero on the Wizards in these gold uniforms. And this shot right here, dude, is ingrained in my brain. I thought this was the coolest thing that ever happened when I saw it. It was like Steph before Steph. I love Gilbert Arenas. He's one of the coolest players ever, and that's something that I really like about the Wizards. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, please hit that like button and subscribe for more videos like this. Again, this is my first NBA video. If you guys like NBA content, let me know in the comments and hit the like button so I know that I need to make more. I will catch you guys in the next one. I appreciate you so much. Goodbye.